right. Well, they're inducting Stone Cold Steve Austin and Bret Hart from WrestleMania 13 into the WWE Hall of Fame as a, what did they call it? Some kind of moment, monumentous moment, or whatever the.
A moment to get Austin and Bret on the show somehow.
To get that, they'll be there. Apparently, they said at the Hall of Fame deal too. And I mean, somebody was making fun. Have they inducted a match before? It seems like that's not a new thing to me. I thought they had done that before.
They've not done that before, but I believe the UFC with their Hall of Fame, they've had matches that were big matches in the history of UFC go in. It's not a crazy idea to do it, but we'll see. The first match that's like, what the f***? When that goes in, that'll be a moment.
Well, and that's the thing is, I guess I heard it from there, but the point is I'm not against the concept because that was maybe the greatest wrestling match. I mean, the WWF of the 90s was mostly, the pretty ladders with Shawn and, all of the other falderall. But I've always said Austin and Hart could have been the main event at Starrcade or in the Mid-Atlantic territory or in the Omni or whatever the fuck as a wrestling match. So that's a good place to start. I'm not against the concept. I'd rather see them induct a match between those two guys like that instead of, some random celebrity that did a fucking guest host on Raw some night.
When you really think about a match, that would be the first match they put in there. Obviously, there'd be a lot of picks, Hogan, Andre, whatever it may be. They may want to keep Hogan far away from this. But when you think about matches and the result, or specifically what came out of it, is there a match that caused an industry to explode? Not that it was the lone thing, more than Steve Austin coming out of that match and the fan reaction and that kind of triggering everything. As much as Austin 316 and the King of the Ring, it was the Bret feud. And to me, it was that match. And coming out of that match, it was clear that Austin was the top guy in the company to me as a kid, as a teenager.
Yeah. Well, it was to me as a backstage minion.
And that's what caused Vince to be able to go public was Steve Austin.
And now see, some people are going to say, well, Sting and Flair, the first Clash of Champions, which is same principle, but different application in that got Sting over as a main event guy. It didn't boost the business at that point was still doing well. Overall, Crockett's and of course, his buying up of territories and everything had put him in the hole by that point, but there was not a ton of difference in the grosses at the houses and or the ratings after Sting and Flair's match, Clash of Champions, but Sting was a main event talent in the people's eyes because of that and was elevated into that. Whereas Austin was the catalyst to kickstart business that had been wounded over the previous couple years. And while things were looking up from 2 years before, as you said, everything exploded under Austin. And that's, that was the catalyst. But they're going in the Hall of Fame.
We'll see if the scaffold match gets into this division of the Hall of Fame.
Oh, come on now. Well, it has to be the one with PN News where they captured the flags.
What if they said, we want to put you in the Express in the Hall of Fame, but you have to do it from atop a scaffold?
Yeah, I'll put my drone up there. I'll have a drone broadcasting from up there. You know what? That was if we'd have had a scaffold match today, we could have just have our drones fly up there and peck at each other.
Did anyone say to you when you were having those matches, like, this is the future? Like, they're going to be doing this match forever going forward. Not, we're going to do this with you guys, and then we're going to try to do it again in a few years, and then we're never going to do this ever again.
No, none of those things.
ECW did it too, though. But yeah.
Well, obviously Dusty knew that we had done it because Dundee had us do it in Mid-South and because Dundee had done it in Tennessee. So there was some element of it stayed in the family. And then Dusty just said, oh, we'd do a scaffold match, baby. But at the time we were doing them, they never they never either said we're going to have other people do these or not do the. They didn't talk about any others in the future besides what we were doing at that. And then we did some with Fantastics in '88. And but a lot of the boys, the universal response from everybody that wasn't involved in it was, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" Or rolling the eyes, or "We ain't gonna be doing that shit," or some combination of all of that.